Welcome to the HMO Property Show. By investors, for investors. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing. Whether you're a seasoned investor, a new landlord, or just curious about property investing, this is the podcast for you. Sponsored by the Co-Living Collective, your trusted partner in creating vibrant and sustainable shared living experiences. Visit us at colivingcollective.com.au to learn more.
Welcome back to the HMO Property Show. I'm your host, Neil Gibb. Today I've got my good friend, Mr. Julian Pace from the Happiness Co. in the podcast booth. Jules, how's it going?
Good to see you, mate. Thanks for having me back. I did an early doors one with you, I think, about 4 years ago.
We did one on the Perth Entrepreneurs podcast.
That's where it was?
Yeah.
That's
This one's the HMO Property Show. And today we're going to talk about Happiness Co., the journey. And people are going to be thinking, why are we talking about this when this is a property podcast? But the reason is that myself and Jules started our businesses around the same time, right? 2016, 17.
Yep.
And we didn't know each other at the time. And together we've been building these two businesses. And then one day our paths crossed. And instantly we hit it off, became good friends. And the synergies between your company and our company, even though we're in two totally different industries, it was apparent that there was something there where we just couldn't work it out at the time how we were going to work together, right?
Absolutely. And I think that there is some crossover. We're building people, you're building properties. So there are some absolute fundamentals that are in common.
Yep.
And they're both complex.
Yes.
People are complex and so are buildings. So I think we hit it off just because like-minded people doing cool things.
Yeah.
But also I think the journey that we're both on, the struggles, the ups and downs and the wave of being an entrepreneur. 2017 is not a long time. As you know, a lot of businesses never make it out the first 5. So that we're still both standing here right now, we're doing something right, mate.
Absolute pleasure as well, mate.
Man, and I've loved, just for anyone listening, I've just loved your journey too.
Oh, same. I never take it for to heart, or I never take it for granted when I see you standing on a stage talking to like 16,000 people in the RAC arena and stuff like that. I'm like, there he is just doing his thing, right?
I know, man.
What's the biggest crowd you spoke to?
Well, that's it. So that comes up in a month. I do it every year.
Yeah.
13,000. And it's an incredible experience in terms of volume of people, which I love. And down south tomorrow, I'm doing 1,000 and 1,000 on Wednesday. So the variety of work now you get is incredible. But, thinking back when it first started, and I'm sure you've got your own little stories, which is why we're so proud of each other. Yeah. I remember I did 11 events and no one rocked up. Not even my mum. Turn up, mum, if you're listening. You could at least shown up for me. But just that grit, determination, and that reason to keep going even when the results aren't working for you. Yeah. And, you've heard that saying before, reasons over results. And it's kind of held me in good stead even now. The scoreboard doesn't always look like you're winning when you're an entrepreneur. Sometimes the numbers are going the other way. But somehow you find a way every morning to navigate these challenges because you know it's worth it. So it's been a good, cool journey.
That's it, mate. And you phrase it there, you build houses, we build people. But the houses we build, we put people in, right? And right now we've got a massive loneliness and social isolation epidemic. So if the listeners are starting to put these pieces together, like there's a collaboration partnership of HMO and Happiness Co. Interesting that they both got co at the end, right?
I know.
Just noticed they Happiness Co, HMO Property Co. There's a collaboration which we'll talk to you about at the back end. And for the listeners that listen to the podcast today as well, we've got something special for you guys too. So let's take it back, Jules, 2007. What was the Happiness Co? How did it start up? Like, who's Julian Pace anyway?
Yeah, well, I always say this to people, and for anyone listening, I'm an accidental entrepreneur, for sure. And then from that became an accidental professional speaker. If you asked me what I was going to do when I was growing up, it wasn't, traveling the world and speaking on stage for a living. That was completely out of my repertoire. That I even fell into the space was more about, a life experience that led me there rather than a calling. Some people just know what their calling is and they know what they want to do and they think about it all the time. That definitely wasn't me. And I think that's important for people about purpose isn't immediate. Sometimes some people can find their purpose and they just know, and some people it's on their quest. They find it along the way. So I always think about that saying that says, not all people wandering are lost. And I was definitely wandering for a long time as a young man and trying to work it all out. But I think what got me passionate about people, and you have a thing that got you passionate about what you do, and it was a tragedy that happened in my life growing up. So, we know mental health is a big problem in this country. It's a big global problem. Suicide rates are through the roof, depression, anxiety, burnout are through the roof, loneliness.
A lot of men as well, right? The statistics are more for men, aren't they, at the minute?
It's unreal. Like you think about this one thing, you can be really good at what you do and still really bad at who you are.
Yeah.
For the people listening to this type of podcast, I'm sure you're very talented individuals. I'm sure you've got that one wood, which is your craft, and you homed in it and you've done the 10,000 hours and you're really damn good at it. But the downside of that is people are really lonely. They look at themselves in the mirror and they don't like what's looking back at them. They've got a family they spend no time with. They've got a lot of money in their bank account, but people think they're an arsehole. So we know this, that happiness doesn't come from what you have. It comes from the person that you believe that you are. So what we're trying to do is working on your career and your achievement, but also your fulfillment. Because longevity comes from when you get both right. You know, the stronger the tree, the better the fruit. And that's kind of what my young life taught me, that I had a really successful dad, a really great entrepreneur who was really good at what he did. But I didn't know it at the time, but he wasn't really good at who he was. And I knew nothing about mental health when I was a young man growing up, or even a teenager.
We never spoke about it, did we?
No,
I never spoke about it. I didn't even know what it was till I moved to Australia.
Literally, right?
Yeah.
No one was talking about it. So no one mentioned it to me. So I had no idea. So the only significant role model that was really meaningful to me was my dad. And he was an incredible entrepreneur. He was an incredible dad, but clearly he was struggling with some things that often we deal with in isolation. These problems that we convince ourselves that we have to go through alone. And especially for men who are listening to this, the shame and the guilt, and I got to provide for my family. I got to work really, really hard. My dad was an immigrant, so all these things that play, these stories that you tell yourself that lead into the life that you create. That he kind of lost his way in that journey, and sadly, hurt people. Doesn't matter how good you once were. And once you become hard to love, you become hard to love. So if you pull back from the people that you care about, you are hard to love. It doesn't mean they don't love you, though. If you don't talk to your friends and family anymore about what's going on for you, you become hard to love. So I always say to people, hurt people, not intentionally, because we've got stuff going on. I'm sure you've done it in the last 3 months, 2 months. We're perfectly imperfect as people. But that hard thing to love became a big part of my life with him. I loved him so much. Like, it was the best thing I had for 19 years of my life. And then for 2 years, he became the hardest person to deal with. He was mean. He was unkind. He used drugs and alcohol to cope with his pain, and that became his coping mechanism. And before I knew it, he became really emotionally abusive to my brother and sister and me. And all that kind of leaves you with is, what have I done wrong? And we all have these universal fears, that the fear of not being good enough. And if I'm not good enough, it means that you don't love me. So that feeling of not being good enough for him anymore, I didn't know why he was treating me like this. I just thought I must have done something wrong. Led to me feeling like he didn't love me anymore. And
like you were the problem.
Like I was the problem, and that caused me so much pain and sadness and heartbreak. And I'm not sure about you, mate, but this was definitely my journey in this. In life, you get what you tolerate. I loved him so much, I just kept going back. He's broke my heart, and the next day I'd be back and he'd break it again. And my tolerance and my self-respect and my self-worth was definitely not something I had a strong relationship with. And his validation of me was all I cared about.
Can you remember what he was going through at the time? Can you recall? How long ago was this?
So I'm 38 now.
Yeah.
So it started when I was 19. So, 21 years ago.
Can you remember that far back about what was going on in his life?
I remember more so the terrible behaviour because it really hurt. You know how we store memory because of emotion? Everything that someone remembers either brings you incredible amounts of pleasure or enormous amounts of pain. So anyone who's listening to it right now, you recall a memory of pleasure or pain, it's because of these two reasons. You can kind of be caught back in that moment. So I remember the behaviour a lot because I hated it. And as a result of that, I started to hate him and resent him. But I thought it was something I did. So then only years later, I realised that the cause of that was failing financially and not asking for help. Taking the wrong money from the wrong people to try and navigate these challenges, as we all do as entrepreneurs, and we're up against it and we don't know where to go and we don't know who to get help from, and we don't ask often help from the right people, and we try and go it alone. So that's clearly what was kind of falling apart in his world. And his success came from hospitality. So we're talking bars, restaurants, coffee shops. So an industry that's really fast paced. It takes a lot from you. You're never home with your family. You're out working long nights. And when you're running multiple bars, and some of these with poker licenses and gambling licenses, you can find yourself hanging out with the wrong people with the right money. And what I mean by that is the money's right because you need to pay off some debts, but the people are wrong. And sometimes we don't put two and two together. You take the money from the wrong people because it's right, but it ends up being the wrong money because it's from the wrong people. Yeah. And that's kind of where it all started. I didn't know about this at the time. And then sadly, it got progressively worse. And in life, we lose things, but no one teaches you that along the way. No one teaches you how to lose the things that you care about. They just kind of happen. And on my 21st birthday, I lost my father to suicide, which is something I know you know well about me, but that changed the way I saw the world. It changed the way I saw people, but most importantly, it changed the way I saw myself. And because of that, I pushed away everyone who loved me. I turned to drugs and alcohol. I did the same thing that my dad did to me. Hurt people, hurt people. And if you become hard to love, you become hard to love. And my family loved me unconditionally, but I made it really hard to love them. And that was a big part of my early 20s, mate, to about 25. So that's kind of how I got into the mental health space. And I mean this with kindness towards me. I didn't care about people as much as I did before he died, because it gave me this radical sense of empathy and compassion for people who are going through tough times because of what he went through. And before he died, I was just like a 19, 20-year-old just trying to work out your life, like we all are. Yeah, you're not really thinking about what other people are doing and are they okay or not. You're just like, am I okay? And then when I came through all that, I wanted to, I guess, turn that pain into purpose, that sadness into strength, that mess into a message. I always say heartbreak leads to hope if you choose it. Everyone goes through heartbreak. Bad things happen to good people all the time. You would know in your own experiences that's true. But some people don't choose hope. They just choose heartbreak, and you can live with that for years. And I just didn't want to be that person. And then I saw a gap in the market, as all good entrepreneurs do. And the way I think about that is, for me as an entrepreneur, our job is to solve wicked big problems. Wicked big. Like, so what's the wicked big problem that you're trying to fix?
We've got a housing shortage right now, affordable housing. Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
That's wicked big.
Yeah.
Like, if it was not wicked big, we would have had the solution already. Because if you don't solve wicked big problems, you end up mastering in minor things. Like the little things that, we can all fix. Yep. And we can consume our life with feeling that that's achieving great things. So to me, I wanted to do something compelling that really, in my short time that I will be on this earth, that made a dent in it. Something I could be really proud of, but also something that my dad could be really proud of and my family. And show anyone that doesn't matter what you go through, that hope lives in action. Hope's not just a thought. And a lot of people think it is. It's like no weeds, no weeds, no weeds. You come out the next day and there's no weeds. There's a saying from Ronnie Coleman, everyone wants to be a bodybuilder, but no one wants to lift a heavy-ass weight, right? You know it. So to find hope in your life, you have to take steps forward. So that's kind of how Happiness Co came along. And the concept was because there was a gap in the market. So for me, the only way I could seek help at 26 or 27 years old was traditional means, which is therapy or counselling or going to see a psychologist. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But my challenge was I couldn't afford it, but I wanted help. So I saved up money to go to a therapist. And you know how they say a therapist, it takes a while to find the right one. Sometimes it's like going to a hairdresser, right? You got to move around and find the right masseuse or hairdresser until you find the one that resonates with you. Yeah. I only had a limited amount of money. So I tried a few. I didn't feel like I got anywhere. And then what I realized is that alcohol was a much better investment because at least it numbed the pain for a while. So that was the problem that I was facing, the want to get better, but I couldn't afford it, which led me to, well, surely there's something out there for people like me, younger people like me that don't want to go to a therapist or can't afford one. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing. So we built Happiness Co, and before we knew it, this guy took off. And that's 8 years ago.
What was the first gig that you did then? So from deciding to start that up and get out there and start talking to people about this, tell us about the first one you did. What were the feelings going into it? How many people turned up? And, you're very articulate, very polished speaker now. Knows his space inside out, but let's take it back there, right? Because all the people that are listening to this, you've been through them circumstances, losing your dad, going through dark times, drink, drugs, finding purpose out the back of that to then taking the leap into starting your own business and getting out there and talking to other people about the fact that there's hope out there for everybody, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't matter what, it all comes in all shapes and sizes. As I mentioned before, that pain changes you, changes the way you see people, and changes the way you see yourself. Your job is to make sure it changes you for the better, not the worst. How many people in your life have you seen pain changing for the worst? Most people. Yeah. They become a victim of their story or their circumstance. Yeah. And then they blame, they complain, they never really take responsibility.
That's about everybody, to be honest, right? I've done it myself, right?
And we all go through that.
Yeah.
Is that, can you ever break free of it?
It's that negative voice inside your mind, isn't it?
Or, and everyone listen to this, the biggest critic of all is you. There will never be a bigger bully than you, but there will never be a bigger cheerleader either. It's just one you choose to listen to. Your biggest cheerleader, your different bully, they're both fighting for your attention, but we feed that negative connotation, that negative version of ourselves, that daddy guilt, that mummy guilt. I made a mistake and I've got it wrong. And I get it. I've been there multiple times in my life too, but you can train yourself out of it. And before I go back and tell you about them experiences when it first started, I guess every single person has these three things available to them. You know, the philosophy that you want to live your life by, the attitude which you conduct yourself with, and the behaviors that you meet every day. Your philosophy is the vision for your life and the world that's in it. Your attitude, I'm a massive believer in this, that your attitude reflects your altitude in all that you do.
Yeah.
Like literally, if you've got a shitty attitude towards your wife or your money or your health, they will be the results that you get. And I don't think people really think about the attitude enough. So philosophy, attitude leads to behaviors.
Yeah.
Habits determine happiness.
And how you do anything is how you do everything.
Absolutely, man. And you can retrain these things, as you know.
Yeah.
I know you've done a heap of work on yourself well, and you've done the work. You've done the push-ups.
Continue to.
Never stop.
Never stops.
Yeah. But getting them fundamentals right, I guess, led me to what you asked, which is how do you get through them weird early times of starting a business?
Times, yeah. And then how do you get through the dark times? And then how do you take the plunge and build up the confidence to know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing? And with no doubt there'll be more like challenges ahead, right? This journey of being an entrepreneur, we both sit here now, we've been in business for 7-8 years each, maybe 9, and it's definitely not a straight line from there to there, right? It's up, down, left, right, couple of steps backwards, fall down the hole, climb up the rope, shark-infested waters, all of that stuff, right?
If they sold it to you at the start, you're like, you must be crazy to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. And then even with all of that, mate, you still don't make it. What is it, 90% of startups go out into business in the first 5 years and the other 90 in the first 10? Like we're both in that window.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 years left to get through the graveyard of entrepreneurship. So we're still in the high risk zone, mate. But that's crazy. You're 8 years and you're still in high risk.
Yeah. I seen a Alex Hormozy quote the other day, and it said, business isn't about who's got the most intellect, it's about who's got the most willpower.
Absolutely.
To keep pushing through them hard times, right?
And to innovate and to also anticipate the challenges that you might face and be able to navigate all of them. And success in every metric. So my background now is in the science of happiness. So there's a lot of research that goes into this type of stuff, which is what is the building blocks of the science that determine longevity. So if you think about that in terms of what I just mentioned about the science of happiness, then a strong me is always a strong we. So when you think about how you build yourself up to be able to deal with the challenges and you anticipate what's going to happen for you along the way, you know, don't wish for an easy life, wish for the strength to endure a difficult one. And that's what we should all be learning. Like, don't teach your kids to have an easy life. And that's what sometimes we see with our parents now. We want to give our kids an easier life, but then we just rob them of the tools and the strength they naturally need to deal with a difficult one.
And no resilience.
No resilience. Yeah. And there's only one way you can actually build strength. It's strength over time.
Let's do the reps.
Strength, times strength. So people like, what's the shortcut to that though? There is no shortcut. It is heartbreak and despair, and then you build strength out of it. So when we try and rob our friends, family, community or ourselves of these moments to be able to self-soothe and be able to find strength in our darkest moments, we actually rob ourselves of the skills that we need to go through the next chapter. So the science of happiness stuff, I think it's really important to take the science into all that we do. If it's your health, your career, your finances, your relationships with yourself, if you can understand these things that we're about to talk about, you can apply it anywhere because they're universal. If it's in building or it's in your marriage, as you mentioned before, how you do anything is how you do everything. And there are kind of three things. And the reason I'm sharing this with you and the listeners is I got myself really prepared before I started Happiness Co. And prepared in not the way that people might think I was prepared. I got myself prepared to deal with things like rejection and people saying no and people not believing the concept. So self-esteem based preparation. And I'm not sure if that applies in your work, but everyone fears rejection. Everyone fears not being good enough and everyone fears not being liked or loved. So I knew that I was going to be up against it. I'm a high school dropout, dropped out of school when I was 13. Can't read, can't write with dyslexia, ADHD. Like my life was not meant to work out to be anything anyway. And my dad would always say this to me growing up, that don't link your self-esteem and your self-worth to trying to be an A-grade student. Link your self-esteem and your self-worth to trying to be an A-grade person. And that's universal to anyone listening.
Powerful.
Absolutely, man. And I did at the time, and I get it, but I can't read and I can't write. And I've got ADHD, and my teachers told me I'll never equate to anything. Imagine like a 12-year-old boy and your teacher says, if you don't learn how to read and write, don't fit into inside this box, you're never going to university. You're never getting a good paid job. And that's the kind of life I thought for myself.
Very similar. Yeah, my teachers. I could read and write, but my teachers just didn't have any hope for me because I just used to mess around at school constantly.
I know, you're like a troublemaker.
Yeah.
You're too much.
Yeah.
You're distracting the group. And that's that one box, if we don't fit into side mentality, that we just believe that because of that we're not worthy. And I know you've experienced what it is I'm talking about. But he picked up on something really important when I was young. He said, being a good person has currency in this world. Yeah. Being a good person who's a builder has currency in this world. Not being a good builder that might be a good person. Who you are will always be more important than what you do. Who you are will always be more important than what you do. And then just be really good at doing that. Treat people with kindness, be decent, and be loving towards them.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Yeah.
And then my dad would ask me that all the time. So he was like Mr. Miyagi in me. You remember The Karate Kid? For anyone who's too young, I apologize. But go see the first one, wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
He was wax on me and wax off me when I was 13, 14 years old. He would like, are you being kind, loving, and decent every single day? Because he knew that if I could be kind, loving, and decent to myself, I'd find a way to be kind, loving, and decent to others.
How good's that question to ask your kids at that age?
So good, man. Because I could have been just one of the people who become an energy vampire.
Yeah.
And just don't like people because they were mean to me. And Oprah said this, and I'll never forget. She said, I never let the bad things that people did to me define the person I become. People treated me really shitty, man, because I couldn't read and write. They teased me and they were mean to me and they pushed me around and they picked on me. Then my dad was really mean to me. But just because people are mean to you doesn't mean it has to define the person that you become, unless you do it for the empowering version of that. So that was him. And I remember saying this, and there's a lot of versions of this statement, but he was a bit of a guru, I guess, in his own way. And I guess that's what got him through, because he was also a high school dropout. And maybe he manifested these things in himself. But I said, yeah, Dad, I get it, but I'm still dumb and I can't read. And he said, make your ICANN always bigger than your IQ. I'm like, well, I'm dumb. He's like, well, make your ICANN bigger than your IQ, though. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, work really, really hard on being a good person, and I promise you everything will work out for you. Make happiness your ambition, and you'll find your way.
And here we are.
And here we are. And like, I didn't know that. I would never thought I was going to start a company called Happiness. He was the one who was big on happiness.
Yeah. And he's laid this into you over time.
This subliminal messages. It's like this unconscious, when you read them tapes when you want to learn another language. But funny enough, people always ask me, what got you through then? And this is why I think preemptive training on our kids and us as young people, what got me through my darkest times wasn't some form of intervention. It was all that training he prepared me for before I went through it. I didn't remember it between 21 and 24 because I was so angry. And I hated him and I hated the world and I couldn't see much good in it. But when I started to navigate my way through, he reminded me what it was good and true and decent in this world.
The wax on, wax off.
Yeah, and that's what started to liking myself again and smiling at myself again. So it's funny how, I'm sure you've heard this, you've had 8 hours a day to cut down a tree, spend 7 hours sharpening your axe. Yeah. That would be the way I describe my time getting ready to build Happiness Co. Because, man, the first 12 months sucked. No one hired me. I was a shit speaker. I'll send you a video and you can send it to all your people who watch this. It was so bad. I'm talking about the ums and ahs and no polish. Every master was once a disaster. It was that bad. Yeah. So I knew I was up against it, but I really wanted to make it work. So I guess preparing yourself for the journey, anticipating the journey before you start acting, this gets you a little bit more prepped to deal with the hard knocks of it all.
This is going to be hard. I'm going to keep going.
Gonna be hard.
Yeah.
But do you have the tools to deal with the hard?
Speaking of tools, I seen a picture of you and Robbie stood around an ironing board at the very start. That was your desk, right? An ironing board.
Oh, mate, we had no money, man. I had no money at the time. That choose your hard mentality. It's hard to have a good marriage. You got to work at it, communicate. You got to put time into one another. But it's also hard to have an unhappy marriage.
Choose your hard.
Yeah, choose your hard. You hate each other. You're fighting all the time. Hard to be broke. Also hard to be financially free. Hard to be unhealthy. Got no energy. Can't get out of bed. It's hard to move around. You just feel like not confident and don't have any self-worth. But it's also hard to be healthy and active. Yeah. So anything in life's hard. Yeah. So being in business or being a builder or being an entrepreneur or whatever it is that you choose to do that has a compelling vision attached to it is going to be hard. Just choose it. Yeah. So it's something I've really worked on in myself. I saw something on Instagram the other day. I said, I'm so grateful and full of grace that I've got the problems now that one day I wish for. Yeah. If you told me 8 years ago the problem I'm dealing with now would be the prerequisite of my success, I'm like, wow, what a good problem to have. Yeah. My first problem, I couldn't get people into the room. Yeah. No one was even rocking up. And now my problem, now I'm like, my schedule's so nuts. It's like I'm never home. And I'm like, well, what a good problem.
I've seen you flying. You're a bit like, it's international now as well, right?
Yeah.
Incredible, man.
But just making sure that we keep that stuff in perspective. Yeah. Be grateful for the problems that you have now, because I'm sure if you started back 10 years ago, you would have asked for them to work out a busy schedule or having cash flow problems. I think about now with cash flow problems when we're expanding our team from 5 to 10 to 15 to 25 to 30. They come with cash flow challenges, as you would know.
Yeah.
I was like, what a good problem to have. Before I didn't have any people to pay. So it means you're growing.
Yeah.
I know. So there's a lot in that. So if you are listening, making sure you're getting yourself ready for the hard knocks, because they'll come.
And pick yourself up. Every time you get knocked down, pick yourself up, go again.
Go again.
It's all is part of the journey.
Yeah, and try not to make it really personal.
Yeah.
Because we personalise everything.
Yeah.
We're so sensitive.
Just look at what can I learn from this.
Yeah, learn quickly.
Go again, yeah.
Again. Steve Jobs talked about, fail fast. If you want to reframe that, learn quickly.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in the word failure, which I know a lot of entrepreneurs, don't like that word. So if it's not, learn quickly. Learn quickly what not to do, and then really, really quickly what you should do. So there's, we all know that business is 80% psychology and 20% application. Your business will only as grow as the depths that you grow, which I think is why you and I have had a somewhat similar journey, because we've worked really, really hard on who we are. A strong me is a strong we, a strong you is a strong crew. I know this firsthand. When I'm a good, strong version of myself, I'm a good husband, I'm a good dad, and I'm a good work colleague, and I'm a good leader. And my problems seem a little smaller, even on the toughest days. That's because you're getting yourself ready for these things. So we all have the ability to do these things if we decide to work on them, but it's like anything in time. Easy to do, easy not to do. Is it easy to read a book? Easy not to read a book. Is it easy to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and train? Easy not to do. Easy to drink 3 litres of water? Easy not to do. So the things that we're actually talking about are in the easy things, not the grand gestures. One of the great things that we teach at Happiness Co as a fundamental is do little things well and do good things often. So if I was to ask you them two, because they are different to every single person though, but if I was to say, Neil, you're a little lost right now, you don't know what you're doing, or you feel like you're struggling, give me a little thing well and a good thing often that you could do tomorrow. What could it be?
I'd say focus on yourself first and foremost. Get yourself in order. So whatever it is that lights you up, when it's the sauna or an ice bath or going to the gym or reading a book or going to bed early without being intoxicated, so that you're waking up fresh and you can start the day fresh the next morning.
How good's that though?
Yeah.
It's a little gesture.
Simple things, yeah.
Little gesture and do that, but do it well.
Yeah, and do it consistently.
Yeah, intentionally though.
Yes.
And be present with your problems. And I promise that they seem different. If you change the way you look at something, what you look at changes. And often we don't spend enough time thinking about our problems deeply. We just run from them, or we try and avoid them or distract ourselves from them. But if you can sit with your problem, you realize they can't hurt you. You might fear they can, but it can't cause you any physical harm to be alone with your thoughts for a while. And
a bit uncomfortable.
Massively. Massively
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
yeah.
And, these can bring on anxiety attacks and panic attacks. Thoughts and emotions have massive weight on us. But the more that we do it, the more comfortable we get. So you can sit there for 5 seconds. Seconds turn into minutes. Minutes turn into to hours and so on and so forth. So it is a work in progress. But as I said before, habits determine your happiness. And if you're willing to build some new ones, and if anyone listening today, the quickest way to get from where you are to where you want to go is not building new habits, it's getting rid of the old habits that don't serve you. Everyone wants to build new habits, don't they? It's like this is why I say what we do is similar. Imagine trying to build a new house on a lousy foundation, which is the new house in this particular concept is the new habits. And the foundation, that slab, is all the shitty things that we do right now as a starting point.
You're wobbling everywhere.
Yeah, so it doesn't work. So maybe cut out some of your bad habits and then implement a few new good ones.
Let's talk about some of the bad habits then. What are some of the things that you see in your position reoccur the most that you see people having in their life, and what can we replace them with? Give us 5, I reckon.
Well, there's so many, mate. But I think probably they say there's 2 really fundamental personality types that underpin every single person on the planet, which is an anxious personality type or an avoidant personality type. You can be both, but if you were to assess yourself on which one you think you were and you think about your trauma and your challenges, when you are struggling, are you anxious overthink it, get caught up in it, or do you like run from it a little bit and try and deal with it later?
Anxious.
Yeah. So you overthink it.
Think it, but then I go attack it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overthink it and then attack it. So you've learnt a new skill.
Yeah.
Some people avoid it, kick the can down the road. I'm sure you know these people. I'll do it next week. When the builder can't afford to pay their contractors, do they feel anxious about it or do they avoid it? And if they avoid it, they let their phone ring and ring and ring, and all these people want to know when they're getting paid, rather than just saying, you know what, I'm sorting it out. I'll have it to you next week. And you feel so much lighter then, but you avoid it for 3 weeks and everyone's hating on you.
Yeah. I think I've heard you say this before. Easy conversation, hard life. Hard conversation, easy life.
Absolutely, man.
Pick up the phone, have the conversation, get it off your plate, clear your head.
Clear the weeds. So I see that a lot. People get really anxious or they avoid or they have both.
You can imagine, I've got to make a phone call to this client. I know they're not happy. And you go through these scenarios in your mind, right? Over and over again. It could go like this, it could go like this, it could go like this. You pick up the phone, it goes totally different. They're fine. They appreciate the communication. Life goes on. Oh,
I remember the time I called the tax office once. Early doors on Happiness Code. We were on a payment plan for our tax or whatever. And I was so terrified of calling them. They were so great about it.
Yeah.
That's like, thanks for letting us know.
Everything's communication, right?
Communication, you're right. So hard life, hard conversations, easy life. Easy life, hard conversations. The easier life will be is the harder conversations you have with the people around you and also the conversations that you have with you. So calling it on your own bullshit. But where I see people probably fail the most in terms of what they think about every day, it's probably what they do every day. And we all need these 3 things to thrive and prosper. So you need, number 1, a strong sense of self, which is what are you doing every day to make you a better version than you were yesterday, you against you. And that comes down to what you think about, what your feelings are, what stories that you tell, how you decide to see the world. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So how you and I see the world are completely different, but we've had similar experiences. We're both high school dropouts, but we see the world differently. And that's absolutely just part of the journey. So it's about matching up how we see the world and being a great version of ourselves in it. So what a strong sense of self gives you, it leads to this one thing, which is self-advocacy. How would you know someone's advocating for self? How would you know someone's doing it?
They'd be in a good headspace, wouldn't they? They'd back themselves, they'd be happy, confident, high self-esteem.
Would they make mistakes still?
Yeah.
Would they get it wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would fall short.
I do daily, yeah.
But the big is, can they pick themselves and shake themselves off? That's a strong sense of self. So self-advocating is to know a bunch of things. And if you can get this one out of the 3, right, this is the most important one. So self-advocating is the ability to stand up for yourself and for others. So people who treat other people poorly, you'll be willing to say, you know what, that's not how we roll here. So builders talking to contractors or contractors talking to builders or whatever happens in your industry, being a good person says, you know what, we hold ourselves to a higher standard. You're not a bad guy, you're not a bad person, but we can be better than that. That's the ability to stand up for what's good and true, but also to be able to stand up for you when someone treats you poorly. And I got a great example of this. I was at the pub once and one of my mates got a bit pissy and he started taking it a bit too far with a few jokes about my partner. Not even stuff that was even really true, but I thought if she was there, she would have loved it, right? Yeah. And we all get a bit boozy and a bit pissy, but I knew that in that moment there was 5 other mates there having beers. It probably wouldn't be the right time to call them out on it. Had a few beers too. And I know good intent, good mate. His intention wasn't to hurt my feelings, but they were hurt. So I called him the next day and said, mate, don't want to make a big deal of it. I love you. I've known you my whole life. But, last night you said some things I didn't really love and I don't think it was right and I just want to let you know and that's my boundary. And then your mate's got 2 choices. What are they?
Step back over the boundary. I'll keep moving through.
Yeah, or say something like you're being a bit sensitive. And I'm like, if he says something like that, or if any of your mates say stuff like you're too sensitive, you're making a big deal out of it, you're blowing it out of proportion, find better friends. If you explain your boundary to someone and they try and convince you that your boundary is wrong, find better friends. And in this moment, he's like, man, I'm so sorry. This is all about me, not you. It's what's going on in my intimate relationship at home.
Hurt people.
And so he was actually projecting his stuff onto me because the stuff he was saying wasn't even true. But I was like, but everyone didn't know that. Everyone's just laughing. Yeah. So then it's funny. So a strong sense of self, can you stand up for yourself? Can you have good boundaries? Are you willing to be okay with the consequences of your thoughts and your decisions? There's a great saying that says, it's always a freedom of speech, but never a freedom of consequence. Everyone has freedom of speech, but no one has freedom of consequence. So it might be a pure intention, but the impact is negative. So a strong sense of self allows you to do that, to advocate for who you are, what you want, know your strengths, also know your
weaknesses.
How many you got?
Heaps.
List. Me. List. Ask my wife. Many. But play on your strengths and get people around you to protect your weaknesses. That's to advocate. Because if you can't do that, you won't tell people your weaknesses. Why not?
Scared him.
Scared. You're going to judge me. You're going to think I'm less. I'm Neil, I'm the boss, and I lead these people, but they're going to know I've got vulnerabilities and I'm not okay all the time, and I don't have it always worked out, and I don't always have all the answers, and I don't have all the skill sets.
Isn't it good, though, to surround yourself with a team that can find the answers or may have the answers?
Isn't it great? Surround yourself with better people than you.
Yeah.
And I think about what I do. When I started, everyone wanted me to do keynote, and now we've got 15 presenters, and they often get recommendations and they get requests over me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the best compliment I can ever get.
Yeah. You've seen a lot of our team, right? I mean, there's some incredible people there doing incredible things, and I can step away from that business for months at a time and know it would just function perfectly without me.
Isn't that good, though?
Yeah, it's incredible.
If your ego's in the way, it can be challenging. Like as I mentioned before, can't read, can't write. Imagine me not telling people that, and the strain and stress that puts on me to be able to try and get everything right when I know I can't. So now I get people to help me read and write.
Yeah, simple.
And our team audio things to me, so I can listen. There's always ways to get to where you are, to where you want to go if you're willing to be vulnerable. And I say people who put walls up are always restricted. You're only as free as the options that you have. Walls don't give you options. Two vulnerable people, anything is possible. Me and you being vulnerable about our problems and our mateship and our business will always find a way. In your intimate relationship, two vulnerable people in love will always find a way. Vulnerable parents with their children will always find a way. Think about a parent has a wall up between them and their kids when they do the wrong thing. Walls don't create solutions. Walls create barriers. So share your weaknesses, be vulnerable. That's how you create a strong sense of self. Number 2 is meaningful connection. You know this, the people that you spend time with, proximity is power.
It's one of my favourite sayings.
Isn't
proximity
it?
is power.
Simple.
Yeah.
How many do they reckon you got to hang out with? What they say? How many people is it to?
5.
Yeah.
Some of the 5 people you spend the most time with is who you become.
Literally.
Yeah.
So find really good people to get you through. People who support your wins. They want you to win. They are your cheerleader.
They lift you up.
3 things that these people do if you can't identify them. Number 1, they make you walk a little taller. Number 2, they make you hold your head a little higher. And number 3, which is the most important, on your worst days, they remind you you're still loved. Like when you were having a terrible day and you were just a bit off and you feel like you're getting it all wrong, you get it wrong as a dad, you get it wrong as a husband, and business is not going so well, and you're just on the canvas, your best mates say, you know what, I still love you, and we're going to get through it. They are the people I'm talking about, not the people that stack on you. The people...
There's instantly a few people that come to mind there, I'm sure, with you and with the listeners as well, if you just take a second there to think about who them people are.
That's a great point. Think about these people in your life right now. But also to work them out, sometimes you got to think about the people in your life right now who aren't that. People who pile on, get rid of them, yeah. Or the people, I used to have a lot of these people. I would tell them a problem. They're like, oh, why would you do that for? Why was it a silly decision? I was like, I know it was silly. That's why I'm telling you, because I feel bad about it. And they actually micro-shame you.
Yeah.
Not because they're bad people and not because they're not nice, but the people who can't identify that they can micro-shame you by just saying shitty things back to what you tell them. Sometimes you got to just look at your orbit. And the last one is contribution. So if you can grow yourself, you can grow the people around you, you can contribute well. And I think you and me, have this in abundance to grow and give, to make sure that we grow as an individual so we can give more to our lives. And because of that, we can give more to our families and friends. And because of that, we can give more to our communities. And if you want to take it even further, give more to the world. There's no reference point of where your giving should start and finish. It might just be being the most incredible family man and giving to that orbit of you. Or it might be something like what I'm trying to do and to create global goodness. But there's no measuring stick of which one's worse or better. It's just be good.
What works for you, yeah.
Yeah, and then contribute to whatever that's meaningful to you when your life here is done, that you feel like you've hit the mark.
That kind of leads us nicely into the partnership that's forming right now. Is it formed? It's up and running, right?
It's going well, mate.
It's going well, yeah.
And I think compliment to you on that, being brave to innovate.
I'm going to give it to my wife.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Joe. Yeah. Absolutely.
And she was going to try and be for this today, just school pickup times and stuff like that, and diaries not aligning. But my wife, she is like really, she's like super passionate about connection, partnerships, helping people. Like we've got ourselves in a position now where her role is to just help more people. It's as simple as that. I continue to drive the business forward in terms of helping clients and our housemates. But now she's looking at partnerships like with you guys, with Worthy, with all these other people out there that we can form alliances with, because 2 is more powerful than 1, 3 is more powerful than 1. Together we can achieve a lot more, can't we?
The compounding effect. We built our success on compounding with collaborations, including with amazing brands like you. Yeah. If you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And get great brands. We talk about getting great people around you. Get great brands around you. Like what does a building company and a mental health brand have to do being in the same orbit?
Just give us some of the brands that you're associated with, because I just want people to understand like the organisation of Happiness Core and then how we've slipped in there. So who are the other brands that you're aligned with?
Oh, well, think about some of the biggest brands in the world, like Boeing, for instance, the Defence Force, BHP, Rio Tinto, Hertz, the banks, Coles and Woolworths, West Farmers.
And then the Core Living Collective.
But you think about this, that we've got some of the biggest brands on the globe, but we've also got some of the smallest mum and dad companies.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I've always thought about building this brand is that truly people's happiness is our mission. So it doesn't really matter if you are a team of 2 or a team of 1,000. The mission's still the same. So our mission is really universal. And it allows us to go into schools and go into big workplaces and do a range of different things that allows us to bring that vision and mission to life. So I love the small collabs, but I love the massive ones. And yours is not so small anymore after what we're doing right now.
It's getting bigger, mate. And it looks like it's going to get even bigger again, right? But I always, when we see the Happiness car going around, and it's got like all the brands on the back, and we see the Core Living Collective in the corner of the window, I'm like, fuck.
Oh, mate, I just think about the first time I even asked for money for one of these, we call them social impact partners. Asked for $5,000. I felt like I was asking for someone's, arm or leg. But now you think about the brands that are on the back of the car. And, and what we do traditionally, and every brand that's listening today can do this, and I would encourage you to do so, which is turn yourself into a social enterprise straight away, which all that means is profit for purpose, which is thank you water, think about what they do, Tom's shoes, buy a pair of Tom's shoes, donate a pair of Tom's shoes, Mexican on a mission, Zambreros, buy a burrito, donate a burrito. These are all for profits, by the way.
But they use the profit for purpose.
They use a part of it for purpose. Yeah. So the directors, the shareholders, they get their return, but a portion. So, we talk about paying taxes. The best way I can describe that about what Happiness Co does is we pay our taxes and we have a happiness tax on top. That's ours, that we create. Yeah. And that happiness tax goes into social causes, which you're a part of. Yeah. So what we do with you is part of the happiness tax. We charge you a fee, and that fee goes into making good things happen for people who need it most. And a lot of people don't think about it that way. Put a bottom line expense on it. It doesn't have to be crazy, but it's all percentage of revenue, or percentage of profit, and that can go into doing really good things. And then when you're thinking about what type of builder you want to go with, and what type of person you want to be, that thing stacks up because there's a million of them. We're not the only mental health and wellbeing provider around the world, but how do we become the biggest and the best? Like we're now the biggest happiness and wellbeing provider in the country. Not the biggest mental health provider in the country, but the biggest happiness and wellbeing provider. How do you get from where we were to where we are? Doing good, doing a lot of it. And this partnership, I know Joe has been really big on. It's amazing to see that vision come to life with that innovation that she was thinking about. And do you remember what she kind of spoke to you about to kind of sell it to you, or what the idea was for you or to you?
Yeah, so back in the early days, it was a discussion about how can we create a kind of Netflix for mental health that we can give to our tenants, so the people that are renting the rooms from us, because we know that, some of them are struggling to have a difficult conversation, or some of them are having dark days, or some of them are having money problems. And we essentially wanted to build a portal which they could log into at any time, which we were going to pay for and you guys were going to build. But then they would have access 24/7 to the Netflix mental health channel, I suppose we were going to call it.
Yeah. And that was a great idea at the time, right? Yeah. As I mentioned before, that success plays complacency in all that you do. That time at Harvard Business I was doing and Harvard Medical, they were talking about this, that all successful companies have the same thing in common. They're complacent. So when we're thinking about creating innovation, it's funny how that time in our lives, we were doing really well on some other stuff. We were trying to build this portal out, but then the world changed. And this is the gaps in the market that we're talking about. COVID nearly took us down.
Yeah,
most
you're
companies
an
down.
events organisation, right? You
Yeah.
need to be out there speaking to people.
Ultimately, like
Can't leave
airplanes.
the house.
It's like if airplanes are on the ground, they're not meant to be.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be in the air, and they're designed to be in the air. Our business was designed to be in workshops and schools and helping people. Our trainers take time and money and infrastructure, but there was no work. And 20% of our revenue was from online programs, and it wasn't a big part of what we did back then. But when recognizing when COVID came around, that problems create solutions if you're willing to find it and look through it and navigate differently. So curiosity over judgment, to replace judgment for curiosity. Are you committed to being right, or are you committed to being better? I think a lot of CEOs and entrepreneurs want to be right. If you want to be right, something's always wrong. True. And if you're in your marriage, if you're always right, someone has to be wrong.
Yep.
And I cannot tell you how many entrepreneurs want to be right, but you got to be better. And you might be right, but who cares? I think about COVID. I am right. We're losing money. I am right. I couldn't pay staff. We were right. But did I take that and say I need to be better? I need to innovate and need to change and grow? Or did I complain to the referee and say it's unfair that COVID happened? And so I share all that because we realized in that moment that we couldn't help enough people. So we could only help people when they're in the room.
At a time when they probably needed help the most, right?
Most.
House, you can't leave the house, you can't go to work. All these things going on. We're reading all this negative news.
Suicide through the roof.
Yep.
Domestic violence through the roof. All these.
And this is what you guys are built for, right?
And this is like, we can't even get into the fight. We can't even get into the game coach. Imagine that, just being on the bench and you're like, get me on, I can help. Yeah, and it's like, there's no spot for you. That's what it was like. And it was actually really heartbreaking to see people suffer the way they suffered. And I think when you're into this type of thing or into this type of work, you want to take people from pain to pleasure. Like, I hate seeing people in pain. It just reminds me of all the sadness and, heartbreak I felt and how lonely and isolating it felt at the time. And I wish someone got in the game and helped me out. And that's what you do it for. So knowing that was happening really bugged me. That's why I said solve wicked big problems. So a wicked big problem was that we couldn't get anywhere. And how do we get our planes back in the air? How could we get our workshops back up and running? And then, we look at digital implementation of that. And everyone was doing similar to what you mentioned before, trying to bring digital programs to life. And then the world changed. And funny enough, timing, everyone invested big money into these, video content creation, YouTube, whatever, building out video libraries. And then the world changed in a second with AI. Timing is everything. I could have invested a lot of money in doing the things that we wanted to do to innovate, to get products to market, but AI changed it. So the number one thing that ChatGPT is used for in the world is companionship and therapy. 1.6 million people ask it about suicide every single week. It is the biggest therapist, and I know you can't really call it a therapist, but it plays the role as a therapist to people in need all across the globe. It has made a massive dent in people seeking help. Bigger than any other intervention and innovation ever in the world when it comes to mental health. And I know it's not just used for that, but just think about that as a concept. That many people now have access to 24/7 care in the comfort of their own room, living room. And obviously there's some challenges with ChatGPT, but this is what AI is doing.
But again, when you go back to your story, you couldn't afford it. It was too hard. You couldn't find the right one.
Couldn't find the right one.
So you just spent the money on something different.
Yeah, well, when Joe came to me and told me about, or you both came to me and told me about the challenge that happened inside the house. What makes a house a home?
Connection, community.
People. Yeah. So we can build homes. And sorry, you can build houses, but you can't build homes. Homes are the place that we feel safe and seen. And you talk about psychological safety in a workplace. We need to create psychologically safe homes.
We try to. We try to do these community events where the property managers put like Saturday morning coffees on and try to get the housemates out there and stuff. We're trying to kind of invigorate the community that we're building. These people that are renting the rooms from us, but
Takes time.
You can only take a lead a horse of water, right? You can't make them drink it.
I think it's providing solutions to problems, and people will find their own path. People need autonomy to find out how they get there. But the innovation of doing that, though, and if it matters to people, it should matter to you because people matter to you. May not always agree with every idea that comes up, but it should matter to you nonetheless. So when you guys are talking about this idea of getting people care and your concept of affordability and making homes safe for people, that's the philosophy that you guys had, which is what I mentioned before. The philosophy of making safe homes for people that connection and people could thrive in. And we know that, imagine how challenging it is not to call a place home and how lost and isolated you would feel not to have that comfort. So then to have that with the attitude of how your team rock up every day to make that happen leads to the behaviours. So your culture is compelling. So your people go out with a compelling culture, and some people might say you just build houses. That's not what you do. You build homes. And that's the difference. Some people just build houses and people like you build homes because it's what happens inside these bricks and mortar facilities that matters. And that's a philosophy. That's an attitude, and that's a behavior. And that's the difference. It's got nothing to do with how much money you make. It's got nothing to do with how nice your houses are or what areas they're in. It's all about how we get them three things right. When you were talking to me, you guys were talking to me about it, we had started building an AI product over the last 2 years. So it's clinically trained. It uses psychological frameworks. AI, its IQ is 1200. Einstein's IQ is 160 on average. So think how smart it is.
Yeah.
And what
10 times smarter than Einstein.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's you've got the best person or best thing in your pocket giving you the best interventions. One of the problems that we know about AI globally is it has things like phantom knowledge. It can validate you too much. It can just tell you you're always right when you need to be, probably challenged. It validates everything that you do. The other thing, it's not clinically trained. So there's a big difference between a tech company building a mental health product and a mental health product building a tech company. So we are a mental health wellbeing brand that we invested heavily in tech. So we became a tech company to provide that product to the market. So clinically trained, gold class interventions that really allow people to have a companion, but also allows people to be a self-therapist. And what is that? Have you ever heard the concept of self-therapy before?
No.
Ultimately, it just means that you can use gold standard interventions or techniques, but apply them to your own life. So CBT, for instance, or habit change. You can just take that knowledge and understand what you need to do and just go and do it. And the reason why I know that works because that is what worked for me. So these are the 10 things that you can do, Jules, to fix your life. Try them. I tried all 10 and I worked out which ones worked for me. That's self-therapy. To be able to do it on your own with the autonomy to find your own way. The other thing it does is there are 3 things that are barriers to psychological care in this country. What do you reckon the first one is? So the 3 biggest barriers to people getting help.
Price.
Before price.
Availability.
Yep.
Price.
Price and availability are in the top 3. So we've got 2 and 3 there, but there's one that's bigger. What happens if you had the money and you could get in? Why wouldn't you still go?
Distance. Availability. Said availability, didn't we?
Yeah. Shame and stigma.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a dad, got a few kids. I'm a mum, a few kids. I'm a builder. I've got to be tough. It's a tough industry. I'm not going to go see someone and talk about my feelings or talk about what's going on with me. The shame and stigma that comes with getting support is the biggest barrier. And then if you were struggling, mate, and I work with you through it and you decide, you know what, Jules, fair point. I probably should go see someone. It's the right thing to do. Then you jump on the internet and you find the place that you want to go and the price becomes a hurdle. And then if you have the money, because you're only as free as the options that you have, so more money gives you more options. So if you had the money to book in for a session, then as you mentioned before, availability. What do you have to wait 3 months? I'm not sure how many problems can wait 3 months.
Is that the wait list now?
Well, anywhere between 6 to 3 months,
wow.
Depending on the challenge that you might be going through and who you're going to. And of course, there's some bend in that and some flex in that, depending on who you know, when you know cancellations. But they're the challenges that we're dealing with every single day. So now, it's shame-free care because it's in your pocket, in your bedroom, in your living room, in your car, in your office, by yourself, getting gold standard interventions and tools to unpack how you feel, to work through some of these challenges that you might be feeling. Low-cost model. I don't know about you, but I've always been a big believer in this because of my own journey. I didn't grow up with a lot. So it shouldn't matter how much money you have in your bank account or where you live or your postcode. Everyone on the planet deserves access to happiness and well-being. So these models do that. If you don't have the money, you still matter. If you don't have the financial means to get there, you just still deserve it. And then the last one is, well, if you can't get in, it's there all the time to meet you where you're at. So that was the concept we sold to you guys or pitched to you guys. And you are the first company in Australia to roll out 24/7 people care for all your residents. That's huge, man. That's how big it is.
Yeah, it's literally a pinch yourself moment, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy. You're our proudest moment, not because you are the first, because now there's nearly 20 companies rolling out Happy, which is incredible.
We were the first.
But you were the first, and it was not about being the first. It was about the reason, the intention behind it. Like just the wanton care that you guys had to want to give people access to a better life and tools to be able to create that was just so heartwarming and moving that there weren't a lot of questions about how we could roll it out. You just like get it in. These people deserve it. And I remember we're like, hey, we'll probably launch after Christmas. And Joe was like, let's get it in before Christmas because these people are lonely. Christmas is a hard time. And that push and that want and that desire to make sure we got it in before Christmas, which we did, was all about that will and that want to make people's lives a little better. And I just think that there's something in all of that. So that's the innovation. You guys are the first to do it. And I tip the hat to you because AI can be scary. And I know you guys are really innovative leaders and you're using AI in different ways, but a lot of people are on the fence on how terrifying AI is. As I mentioned before, this is not about if we trust AI or not. Do you know why? It's the biggest thing that people use in the world. AI for therapy.
Proven. People
are trusting it. We've got to provide a safer product.
Put the barriers around it, clinically trained.
Data privacy. So things like built here in Western Australia for the world. We built it here. It's run here. It's owned here. The tech companies here. The psychologists are here. The clinical teams here. Everything is here. Yep. We didn't do one bit offshore. We wanted to build something good, and that was quality, and that people could be proud of.
Australian product.
Yeah. And what mental health challenges we find here in Australia are different to the US and the UK and Turkey and France. We've got unique challenges and everyone's got their own problems. Imagine an Australian product that understands Australian people. And if you're going to back any social enterprise, back our product. And because of when you back our product, we put that more into more things that you care about. Family domestic violence, suicide intervention, getting inside schools and helping our young people. So if we can get that messaging right, and you guys are a big part of that and supporting us in that, allows us to do all the great things that we do in community. It's got nothing to do with the product that we sell.
It's all about the impact.
All about the impact. I think the product that we sell is a byproduct of global goodness.
Yeah, the ripple effect. It's huge, isn't it?
It's huge, mate. It's huge. So yeah, kudos to you and Joe and you and the whole team. And the usage rates in the house have been really exciting as well. So this means people are trusting it. To me, it's like giving everyone you know a free Calm app. You know, Calm's like $200 a year. Imagine just getting a free Calm app. It's the biggest meditation app on the planet. Yeah. So one less thing that people have to worry about and getting access to things that are going to help.
So we've rolled this out to over 1,000 tenants so far. We're going to give it access to our clients that have come on board through HMO Property Co as well. So our landlords and our tenants will have access to it. Our team have got access to it. And for the listener to the podcast, we've got a little special sort of, promotion.
Yeah.
What do we want to call it?
I'll just say a gesture of goodness and to say thanks.
Yeah, if you're interested in what we've been talking about today, then we put together we're going to give them a link. I'm going to put it in the show notes.
Yeah, show notes, 45 days free.
Yeah.
And just be real with it. We don't have any idea what you're talking to about. It's like talking to ChatGPT. Or that it's clinically trained and clinically validated. So what you do know is that when you're talking to it, it's giving you the best interventions that the world can offer. And it would be our gift and our pleasure for your listeners to have it for 45 days. And who knows, it might help you immensely. It might help you a little bit. It'll meet you where you're at. Maybe it's good for your son or daughter, your wife or husband, or someone that you know who's going through a tough time. I can tell you this, someone in your life right now has got stuff going on. And our job is to find ways to get these types of products in their hands of the people that you care about.
It's probably more people than they recognise as well, right?
Most people don't talk about it still, man. It's like that thing, how are you today? I'm good. Man, no one's good. Yeah. You're not always going to have a good day. Not always going to have a good day, but not every day is going to be a good day, but they're still good in every day. So that's what these things are like. That you're going to have tough times and tough days. Your problems never go away. You just get better at dealing with them. But I use it now, and I think that's really cool. So you think about being a really busy entrepreneur, on the road traveling a lot, away from my family, trying to build, businesses in isolation, but also in a collective unit. It's tough, but I actually talk to Happy myself.
Yeah, I do. I was using it the other week.
Yeah, it's so great. It was about I was talking about daddy guilt with it.
Yeah.
Like being away from my kids for a period of time. And we all have daddy guilt. Doesn't make you, just because you're doing well in life doesn't mean that you don't have these vulnerabilities and insecurities.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and it just gave me some things to think about that really helped.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. And it was in 5 minutes, I was on my merry way.
Same. Yeah, it's interesting, right? People see people being successful in business or work and stuff, but they don't realise that as soon as you walk through that door, all of that stuff is forgotten about. The kids' nappies need changing. Your wife needs to tell you about a day. The food hasn't been cooked. The dog needs feeding. Like, there's all these... life just goes on, right? A successful business is just one part of them, but a successful business also creates that impact and that ripple effect. Combined together, mate, we're going to try and help as many people as possible, right?
Thank you, man. And I think for before we wrap up, anyone listening to this, because my brother's a builder, and I've got great mates in Melbourne that I've introduced you to, like they're builders as well. So I see the complexities of the industry and the hardships that can come with it. But I think this is really important, that businesses don't burn out, people do. Relationships don't burn out, you do. Founders and entrepreneurs don't burn out, we do. So if you can always keep that in perspective, I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, I know you've got a lot going on, but our job is to find the right tools, because the only reason that you're burning out is because you've got too much going on. Ask for help, reach out to people who can support you, take some things off your plate, be vulnerable, open up, explore, because, the industry that you're in, the building industry, has a high rate of suicide.
It's a high industry. Yeah? Being at a building company or running a building company is a hard gig.
Massive.
Yeah.
And divorce rate's massive in your industry. So they make good money, well, not everybody, but a lot of people at times make good money in the industry, but they're miserable, man. And what's the point of having all that money if you've got no one to share it with, or no one's around you, or you've isolated yourself so much that you become hard to love? If you can try and get both of these things, this successful business and the metrics of make that one, but also really successful person in terms of how you shop and show up for your family, your friends, your community, and if you can link them two together, you get a really breezy but awesome blended model of success and happiness.
That's what we want, right?
Absolutely, man.
Joel, it's been a pleasure, brother.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
See you. Thank you. See you again in about, let's catch up in 12 months time, right?
Do another one.
And do another one.
Talk about happiness and you and HMO and co-living and living rooms doing a global rollout.
That's it.
Love
That's it, bro. Love you, man.
See you, mate.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you tune in the same time next week so you can stay up to date with all cash flow positive property updates.